Right, so we're going to start. It's not something from us. So, hello viewers, nice for tuning in again. It's your boy Chris Bello. So today I'm here with my friend, a brother with whom we studied back in Cameroon, undergraduate level, University of Boya. And now here we are in Tokyo, Japan. So I would like to get an insight of his story, how he came to Japan and what he's currently doing in Japan. So yeah, let's get into the interview and hear from him. So yeah, bro, can you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Hello viewers, my name is Francis Ndip. Like he rightly said, we used to be classmates back in Cameroon. Currently I'm a student here in Japan at the University of Tokyo. I'm a master's student at the University of Tokyo, and I study agricultural development.
Wow, you're studying at Tokyo University. I think Tokyo University is one of the most, in terms of ranking, it's the highly ranked university in Japan. So yeah, can we get to know how you got to know about Tokyo University and how you find yourself to Tokyo University studying there?
Yeah, firstly, I mean, like you said, Tokyo University is the best university in Japan, and I mean one of the best universities in the world. I think the last time I checked the rankings, it's among the first 50 universities in the world. Wow. So it's a really good place to study. I mean, good environment, good academic environment, exciting academic environment. And yeah, I used to be a student in Cameroon, and the first thing I would like to say is I came to Tokyo through the Japanese government scholarship.
Wow.
The Mext.
Mext?
Yeah, through the Japanese government scholarship. But of course, what the first thing I would like to say is there's a wealth of information out there. You just have to do your search. But I think I learned about Tokyo University from a friend, or from him. Yeah, I learned about Tokyo University from him. And one thing I've noticed is there are thousands of scholarship opportunities out there in so many universities in different continents, Europe, Asia, even South America, North America. There are so many scholarship opportunities. You just need to put your ear on the ground. And then the good thing is the internet or our smartphones have brought the world into our palms. We have wealth of information in our palms.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time on social media, do so many things, but you can just dedicate 5-10 minutes of your time every day to like search scholarships in Japan. Just do one random search. You don't need to have everything right before you. Once you query it, scholarships in Japan, scholarships in America, scholarships in Germany, scholarships in France, something will definitely pop up. Then from the list that you have, you can start screening based on what you really want for yourself. So I think by and large, what I'm trying to say is I came to Japan through scholarship, and there are so many scholarship opportunities for those who are interested in pursuing scholarship opportunities. You just have to check. You can have one.
Wow, yeah, I think that's an overview of the scholarships all over the world. You just need to do some queries, as he rightly said. Yeah, for his case, I think he said he had Mext. Mext is one of the biggest scholarship that you can have to study in Japan. And I would like to know how the process was like. How long did it take for you to get to finally get this scholarship? Can you please tell us how the process was like?
Yeah, the Mext scholarship is, it's a very prestigious scholarship because it's offered by the Japanese government. I think that's the top Japanese government scholarship.
Yeah,
that's the top Japanese government scholarship. But one thing I would like to say is, with the Mext, you have to be very patient because the application process takes on average 1 year. Like if you want to travel in 2024, you start the application in 2023. If you want to travel in 2025, you have to start the application in 2024. You have this back and forth exchange of documents, and there are different steps. Maybe you have application stage 1, you have to pass stage 1, then they permit you to send some documents for stage 2, then they permit you to send some documents for stage 3, and so you have these steps. But I think this doesn't only apply to the Mext, but generally, with all scholarships, the first thing is, once you come across a scholarship, go through the application requirements. That is very important. You don't hear it from people. Don't hear it from people. Go through the application requirements. Go to the website of maybe the university or maybe the organization that is offering the scholarship. You go there, you see everything. And the good news is there's always an email address that they'll tell you if you have any problem, contact. Dear viewers, contact that email address if you have any problem. Don't rely on your friends that I did. Those processes change every year. Maybe what your friend did work for him is not necessarily going to work for you. So the best source of information is that email address. Write them, a very polite email. Hello, greetings. I intend to apply for this scholarship, but I'm confused about application requirement point 5. Can you please clarify me? Of course, 2-3 working days, they are going to reply you. So please always try to get the information from the horse's mouth. Always try to contact their email address. But for my Mext journey, I think firstly, the first year I had to apply for Mext was 2020.
Yeah.
In line with what I'm saying about making inquiries, and because I did not get the right information in the first year, I missed some important steps and I could not apply that year. But as a result of that, I had to go through the application requirements again and make sure I had every document and whatsoever.
Yeah.
And especially for those of us from Cameroon, there's this general tendency that you have to write the TOEFL, you have to write the IELTS. It doesn't apply to every person.
Yeah, I think it's not only for Cameroon.
Yes. If you are from Cameroon, particularly if you studied at the University of Boya, the university offers what they call English proficiency. So you can always use that English proficiency to back yourself up. Because the reason why they ask for English proficiency is that they do not believe that you have studied in an English system of education.
Yeah.
And it's going to be difficult for you to maybe adapt. But your English proficiency is there to prove that you studied in an English system of education, you took all your exams in an English system of education, and you are proficient in English, which you can study in any part of the world in English. So always have that English proficiency. When you want to write that email, you can always tell the people, hey, in one of your requirements, TOEFL or IELTS is a very important document I have to submit. But I want to inquire, I studied in the English system of education, the whole my undergraduate, the whole my masters. So can I get a university can I get a document from the university to prove that I studied in the English system of education? They'll tell you, okay, can you send a document to us? Blah 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 blah. If that's the case, you can send the documents, and at times they'll waive the English proficiency because you are studying English. That's what worked for me, particularly with the Mext or at the University of Tokyo under my program, because the program is an international program. So you must be proficient in English. And I didn't want to take the TOEFL or IELTS for so many reasons. I didn't want to take any of those exams. So I wrote them an email address and told them that I studied at the University of Boya and everything is done there in English. So do I need to take the exams? And they asked me a series of questions. Send your transcript, we want to see your GPA. Send your this, we want to see. That's going to tell us how proficient you are in English. And after sending these documents, maybe after 2-3 sessions of exchanges, they told me that, oh, we are going to waive the English test for you because this document shows that you are proficient in English. So the underlying point I'm trying to make here is that don't rely on your friends. Go to the website, get the information. If you have any doubts, you write to the people and they are going to provide answers. So back to my Mext journey. My process was over 1 year. I started the application in 2020 and I came to Japan in 2021. The application process lasted for over 1 year because I started in October. I remember I submitted my online application for step 1. I submitted my application in I think September 2020, and I came to Japan in November 2021.
That was 1 year.
Yeah, that's 1 year and some months. That's 1 year and some months. So that's how the process is. So if you meet anyone who is telling you you are going to travel in the next 1-2 months, you have to be very wary. You have to be very careful that you are about to get into the dragnet of scammers and people like that. Most of these things take time.
Yeah.
Most of these things be it Germany, be it most of these things take time because there is a lot of bureaucracy involved in processing applications. Remember, this has to do with money. They have to be accountable for the money they are giving out, so they are very meticulous in who they select. They are very meticulous in going through your documents. They are very meticulous in knowing the type of person they are going to admit in the program. So I submitted my first online application. So because I had prior information about the scholarship, I had the details of the scholarship already. I was just waiting for them to open the portal. I knew the day they were going to open the portal. So immediately they opened the portal. The following day, I submitted my application. I think I got a reply from them that I've been selected for stage 1 and I have to submit documents for stage 2. I got my documents. So for master student, I don't think for master student you necessarily need to contact a professor. You don't need to contact a professor. That's the general trend in master studies abroad. But there are some peculiarities in the program you are going to apply to where they'll ask you, you need to contact your professor. So if that is the case, please make sure you contact your professor 5-6 months ahead of time. Don't go and send him an email maybe when the deadline is in 1 week and you start putting him pressure, writing him emails every day, right?
Yeah,
those people are busy people.
Yeah.
They are busy people. They need to take time. Some of them will take months before they even open your email. So, I mean, you have to give them that latitude of time, let them have all the time in the world. And another trick is, most of these universities, on the department website, you have the professor's name and the kind of research he does. Please, you have to prepare your proposal in line with the research of your professor. You cannot come to a university, this professor is working on a particular thing, and you want to come and ask him to change completely because he wants to accept you as a student. You have to prepare a proposal in line with what the professor does. So there are so many topics you see there. So just pick one of those topics and develop a proposal in that line. And the important thing is, when you develop your proposal, so when you finally succeed in getting the scholarship, you can change. The most important thing is to get your scholarship, is to get a professor who is willing to work with you. This is even more important for PhD students. So you are not going to do what Napoleon left undone. Don't think you have to write a proposal that is going to break barriers in science and whatsoever. So just get a proposal. I mean, the simple format of a proposal. I'm not going to talk about proposals here because that's not the essence of.
That would be in a different video.
That's in a different video. So, and once you go through the application requirements and you have all the documents, make sure you get your documents. Get a folder in your computer. I mean a folder, and put everything there, the scanned copy of all these documents, or what we call the soft copies. You get the soft copies of all these documents and put in that folder. It's not when the deadline is in 2 days and you want to submit, oh, I don't have English proficiency, and you start running around campus, begging people, giving people money to give you.
And pressure.
Yes, and start putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. At the end of the day, you start cursing people. No. Make sure once you go through the application requirements, 2-3 months, you get your documents in place. All the documents. And name the documents accordingly. If your name is Francis, English proficiency. Francis, research proposal. Francis, this. So that you don't get confused and you find yourself submitting the same documents twice and missing out on other documents. So you have to name the documents appropriately. So with that said, back to my application process. So after that, I succeeded in stage 1, and in stage 2 now they start asking for letter of motivation, and with this letter of motivation you also have to be very careful. The trick here is scholarships have different purposes. For example, for the DAAD you may have what they call a development related courses. They offer the scholarship only to people from developing countries because they want you to work in a development area that is going to help your country. So in writing a letter of motivation, you have to tell them how that is going to help your country. The kind of research you are going to do, how it's going to help your country, how that scholarship is going to help you attain your objective. So for every scholarship, you have to know the purpose of that scholarship. So that's going to help you. So you get your letter of motivation because that's what almost every scholarship has. A letter of motivation. If you are a PhD student, your research proposal is imperative.
Of course, even the master students.
Maybe some master students, your research proposal. For me, they ask for a research proposal. A research proposal is imperative.
I think most master's courses also they ask research
Then
proposal.
maybe your transcripts. Please get the latest version of your transcript. For the Mext, what they usually ask for physical documents. So maybe you need to go to the travel agency and send your documents physically. And then after that, they had to ask me to schedule. We had an interview. An interview was another part of the application process.
Was that the last stage of the
No,
process?
that's not the last stage.
Oh.
That's the second stage. The second stage. So I had my interview. Of course, the interview is just like the interview is in line with the objective of the scholarship and your kind of study you want to engage in. Like how does you just have to explain some things. I think physically they want to see how fluent you are maybe and how coherent you are in making an argument and stuff like that. For me, that interview was I think 15 minutes. I had 10 minutes to do a presentation, then 5 minutes for
questions, Q&A.
Questions. And please dress properly. Your computer, if it's possible, get a backup computer by your side. get you. I don't know if it's MTN connection you are using. If
For those-
possible, get Orange, get Camtel by your side.
For those in Cameroon, I always recommend Camtel, MTL, and of course any of them works, but you have to understand your environment. Because for my case, when I was applying for the similar scholarship, I was in Douala, so I knew that Orange worked best. So I got an Orange Wi-Fi box, which I used for my application process. During interview, had no problems. So you have to understand the region in which you are. If you're in Boya, you have to understand that that's different. You need maybe what works best for Boya.
Yeah.
So
that
depending,
I'm not here to sell brands. I'm not here to
we are
talk
not.
about- Your friends
Do
don't
your
tell you
due
that I
diligence
did-
by yourself.
Yes.
Everything is available
You have
online.
to pay your dues.
Yes.
That is you have to pay your dues.
And your dues is your time, the
Yes,
time that you
you have
put
to pay
into
your
your application process.
You have
Do
to
not
pay.
listen to anyone. Of
Mm.
course, you can get information from people like trying to tell you, oh, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. But at the end, to make a good and final
I mean,
judgment,
the onus is on you.
Yeah,
the
you must go.
responsibility is on you. If your scholarship doesn't go through, you're not going to start accusing your friend that you're the one who misled me in this.
That's true.
There's nothing you are going to do to your friend or whosoever. Please. So that is it. And I sent my documents. And so, in a nutshell, what we are saying is, let me give a rundown of scholarship applications. Number one, get your documents on time. Number two, constantly check the portals. Constantly check the portals. When is the deadline? When is it? Please make sure you submit your documents if possible 1-2 weeks before the deadline. 1-2 weeks before the deadline. Thirdly, always read the information. If you need any clarity, it is better to write to the scholarship body or to the university than to rely on hearsay. And fourthly, you have to be patient, man.
patience,
You have to be patient.
especially when they are giving you money.
Yeah, it's going to take time. I mean, it's going to take a whole lot of time. That is taxpayers' money that they want to invest in you. So it's going to take a whole lot of time. So you have to be patient. I think that's it with the scholarship procedure to come to Japan. You just, if you want to travel in 2024, know that you have to start in 2023.
Yeah, I think he has given a really brief and I think a lot of information there on scholarship applications. That doesn't only apply to Japan, but mostly even Europe, America, or any other country. So he made mention of documents, especially when it comes to proficiency, English proficiency. So we know of TOEIC and, as he said, IELTS and all those requirements. But sometimes those can be waived if you've been taking your studies in English, as he said. So try to also push a little bit. You shouldn't just go to take. Of course, if you can save some money with you than taking those exams, you can just push a little bit, like try to see if they can waive those exams for you. All right, so we'll be moving to the next question. So yeah, you arrived in Japan. Up to now, how's it been going in Japan? How can you say about life in Japan? What can you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I get these questions very often. So many people ask me how's life in Japan. I would say I'm talking from personal experience. My experience is a mix of good and bad.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the bad experiences stem from the fact that as someone from a developing country where we are used to social life and blah blah blah, the first thing that happens to you when you get to Japan is a cultural shock. What I call cultural shock. I mean, you are moving from a completely different culture. From the culture, we have this attitude in Africa or in Cameroon where, I mean, you live happily with your neighbors, you talk to your neighbors, you have friends visit you, and then you just transition into another culture where those things do not exist. So that's my major problem here in Japan, this cultural shock. And I think it's really going to take some time. What you should have at the back of your mind is it's going to take some time for you to adapt to the system. Even if you have a brother here, I'm sorry to disappoint you, your brother will not always be there for you. Your brother is busy. Your brother is working.
Yeah.
When you come here, maybe you want to do a part-time job, you will become busy too. So maybe the time you are free, your brother is not free. The time you are free, your friend is not free. The time your friend is free, you are not free, and you have this, I mean, kind of conflict of availability that is going to affect you. It's going to affect you. But come on, you just have to adapt. You have to adapt. But the good side of it is that you get to experience a different culture. I mean, you stay in a multicultural environment where you get to meet people from different countries and they behave differently and things like that. I think it kind of shapes your experiences, it kind of shapes your life in the future. So that's my experience in Japan so far, a mix of good and bad.
I see. Yeah, that's a good one too. I also like most when I interview people, people always have this aspect when you start telling them in terms of maybe the difficulties that they face in Japan. Of course, a lot of people talk about the language. So for people who are like wanting to come to study in Japan in the future, or maybe coming to work in Japan, what advice or some things you can tell them to prepare advanced, or things that you think you should have known before coming to Japan?
Point number one, you have to know Japanese. I'm telling you this from the depth of my heart. If you want to enjoy this country, if you want to have a perfect Japanese experience, you have to learn the language. Yeah, they may tell during the application, they'll tell you your program is entirely in English. But trust me, you are not going to be staying on campus. The only reason why you are coming here is not for studies. You need to socialize.
Yeah.
You need to get to know places. You need to get to live the Japanese life. And you need to know Japanese. So when you come here, I mean, there's this tendency that when we come, I mean, we get carried away by maybe part-time jobs. I don't know if it's excitement or whatsoever, and we forget about the language, which is the core of your stay in this Japan. Please, when you come here, most schools offer this language for free. Like for me at the University of Tokyo, Japanese language is free, but I still did not take. I just took it for a very short period.
Yeah.
And I'm facing a lot of difficulties. So if you want to enjoy your stay in this country, especially people who have plans to maybe enter the job market and stuff, please, you have to learn Japanese. There is no magic. There is no magic. When you come here, take your Japanese language seriously. Sacrifice 3, 4, 5, 6 months of your stay in Japan. You are not going to die. Especially if you're on scholarship.
Yeah.
Manage the money that they're giving you.
Mext, I think Mext is good money, about 140.
Yeah, if you manage very well, I mean, you can save some money for yourself.
Yeah.
If you manage very well, you can save some money for yourself. When you come to Japan, take the Japanese language. Nihongo is the key. Japanese language is the key to your stay in Japan. So there's no sugarcoating. If you don't know the language, you are going to suffer. You are going to suffer if you don't know the language. So that is it.
Yeah, I think that was a very good one in terms of making your life or being successful in Japan. Not really being, of course, being successful. I think one of the prerequisites, as I rightly said, is knowing the language. You can have fancy degrees, PhD, masters, but if you are not proficient or can speak Japanese, then it becomes difficult for you to really make life in Japan. I'm talking out of experience. After graduating from a Japanese university and currently working in the Japanese society. So it becomes really difficult to integrate if you cannot really speak the language. So as he said, prerequisite number 1, Nihongo Ichiban Daiji. Yeah, you have to study your Japanese and to prepare for life after school. Yeah, so thank you very much, Mr. Francis. I think the interview went very well. If there are anything that we didn't cover this time, probably we are still here in Japan. And I think you're going to be here maybe probably for some time.
I'm around.
He's around, yeah. So if there are some things that we need to cover, you can always keep on the comment anything that you wish to know about studying in Japan specifically. So we will be able to reply to the comments, because I get a lot of messages on Facebook from my friends. They want to study in Japan, they want to study, please help. So we are making this video for you to get information, to know that you can do those things by yourself. You just need to search on the internet, do your due diligence, apply for those programs, and wait, be patient. As I said, you have to be patient. Scholarships takes 1 year, but if you're not being patient, you just want, maybe you have money to pay your fees, then that is another ball game. But if you want to go for scholarships, then you have to be patient and be ready to follow the process. So yeah, if there's anything that you wish to know more, you can always just keep on the comments down. So Mr. Francis, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah, subsequently, thank you so much. Yeah, so dear viewers, yeah, it was really nice having Mr. Francis on the show. So yeah, we will see if, based on your feedbacks, we could do a similar video sometime to address some questions from your feedbacks. Thank you so much.
Wari?
Wari.